quite frankly, one of the biggest problems is people do it and then the other team doesn't notice. I've watched that in tons of debates where it's like, wow, you could have won this debate if you'd noticed that those other teams was like totally idiots. But hey, okay. I voted in the dissent that was double turned that nobody pointed out. So sad. Pay attention. And this particularly, I want to say, this is one of those things where you paying attention to what's happening in the debate will maybe allow you to be a team that perhaps you didn't think you could be because they screwed up. Capitalize on those mistakes. All right, I'm about to run out of time, getting there. So I want to talk about what you do when they read a diss ad that you have not prepared for, because that happens. You're in the debate, you're all ready to roll, 2AC thinks that she's going to kick it, and then they read a couple arguments, you're like, I don't know what we're going to do. Uh-oh. So, what do? First, do not freak out. Absolutely. Because that won't help you. If you spend 30 seconds freaking out, you just wasted prep time. Get over yourself. Be solution-oriented. How can we fix this problem? First thing I would suggest to you is to think very critically about their evidence. We're going to practice this in just a minute, because there's some flaws in some evidence that you have. Read the evidence. Compare the cards to the taglines. And I'm stressing here, read the part that is not underlined. For the love of God, read the part that's not underlined. You get this evidence and you think that God wrote it and you can't change it and it's perfect. All wrong. All wrong. Some hyper-caffeinated kid with a more caffeinated lab leader wrote that evidence in the middle of the night and didn't know what the hell they were doing. And then they gave it to you and you're like, this is perfect. No. Read it yourself. If you have time, go back and get the original articles and read those and see if they were cut properly. You may want to recut your own cards. You'll understand the case better, and I promise you're going to find a ton of mistakes. Guaranteed. Read the cards. On diss ads you don't know, you need to figure this out. If it's a politics diss ad, you should assume it's lies and start looking for them. It's lies. Politics cards are never true. The taglines do not match the evidence, and we're going to look at that in your case file here in just a minute. Cards are bad. They don't say that story. And I'm just telling you in politics, it's a lie. The question for you when you're debating it, you don't need evidence to be politics diss ads. What you need is a quick mind, and you read their cards. We're going to demonstrate that in a minute. Think about current events, particularly on this topic. Some years this is more or less relevant. On this topic, your topic is going to change every week. I'm so sorry to tell you. You need to watch the news, and I've already gone through that. But if you can think of what's going on right now, you can come up with some non-uniques. And if nothing else, just say non-unique Trump and let the 1AR explain it. It'll probably be true. Somewhere you've got a card. There's a tweet for everything, so feel free to find that. Also, you've got advantages. The 1AC does not disappear just because they read a diss ad you didn't know. Is diss ad actually bigger in the affirmative advantages? I hope not. And even if it is bigger in scope, is it bigger in speed? Are your impacts more severe and more certain? Now, if you think that they're beating you because you don't have any good answers to their diss ad, maybe the best thing to do is to read an admin advantage in the 2AC. Make your impacts bigger. You've got that 1AC, use it. And also stash an extra impact that you don't necessarily always read, that you trot out when they read a diss ad that you ain't got no answer for. Or maybe it's just a critical turn that you always use. But think about your arsenal of weapons and be prepared for that situation where you need to go a little bit bigger so you can win that debate. Be ready for it. Number 5, you may want to critique the diss ad. You may want to critique the diss ad. Particularly if it's a critique your affirmative avoids. Right? You've got great link firms to this critique. You think that they bite it. Great. Run it as an advantage. 2AC can set that up. The 1AR can read extra cards if you need it. And the same thing with impact turns. Think about how you can drop a couple of impact turns out there in the 2AC, and then set the 1AR to go for them if, in fact, you have no other choice. Think about those things. But above all else, do not, under any circumstances, put yourself in a situation where you waste prep time because you're scared about it. That doesn't help. Even if you make bad arguments and you're sitting there using your prep time to make bad arguments, that's better than be like, what are we going to do? Everybody gets nervous, and so I know that that's kind of a generic thing to say, don't be nervous. It's going to happen. But just sort of think through. Check, somebody read the uniqueness cards. Somebody double check to see what we have for potentially late turns or impact turns, and certainly make a quick list of things for status quo that can trigger that problem. That gets you some uniqueness. Questions about this? Questions about this? How much time have I got, Cameron?
As much as you need.
All right.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Number 6, impact turn. So what I'm suggesting is that it's more strategic to drop an impact turn in a 2AC that you don't spend all of your time on. So the 2AC should put out the impact turn, but give the 1AR some extra cards to read if she feels like that would be a strategic thing to go for. So what I'm saying is don't put all of your eggs in one basket in the 2AC. And as you see the debate develop, the negative block is going to make choices. So let's say you read the impact turn in the 2AC. Not sure if this is the best argument or not, but you want to see how they react to it to give yourself that option. If they screw it up, 1AR should be ready to go with like 3 extra cards. If they screwed it up, we're going to win the debate right here. But I am saying you want to give yourself options so that you're not stuck with only an impact turn, where 2AC is just like, I'm going to read 5 minutes of impact turns. Okay, that might be the best way to go, but you may also want to give yourself some competitive strategic choices to make so that you have some diversity of arguments. And one way to do that is to embed the impact turn in the 2AC, not go for it bigly until the 1AR as a strategy. Is that a little? Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So you suggest that you just don't think that through, like the
Yeah, I mean, it's just a question of what they do with it and how you want to react to it. You can use those things strategically. Also, I wouldn't say you want, basically, even if you're going for link turns, you want to give yourself a diversity of arguments so that you're forcing the negative to deal with not just one style of argument. You don't want to only make uniqueness arguments or only make one style. You want to give yourself some strategic diversity. That's all I'm kind of getting at. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Link turns are link turns safer? Well, yeah, link turns are safer than impact turns. Or
The reason they might be safer is that usually link turns are very specific to your affirmative, so that you're probably more familiar with that literature than the negative may be, and that's why I would say they're probably a little bit more strategic in the sense that they're more likely to be very specific to what you're doing with your app. But ultimately, I don't know. Depends on what you research, what you're comfortable with. Maybe nuclear war good is your baby, and you're going to go with that. I'm not saying you should, but it depends on what you want to do. All right, so I want to do one more thing. Pull out the Taiwan disad. I'm sorry. The elections disad for Taiwan. There's like 3 shells, right? Y'all got disads? Y'all get elections? Yep. Anybody get elections? If you don't have it, it was sent out, right? Everybody's got evidence?
My lab should have it.
It's elections.
Elections. Yeah, there's 2 shells in elections. There's a Taiwan shell, there's a Saudi Arabia shell. If we have time. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I guess we're running out of time. Do this. You should read through those shells. And I'm just going to give you a hint up front. There's some problems with some of that evidence. I honestly don't think you should need any cards to beat these disads. If you're running the Taiwan case, you really shouldn't need any evidence to beat the elections disad. Same thing for Saudi Arabia. That's because there's problems in the shell. I'm not going to tell you what that problem is. You got to figure that out. But if you want to know, come see me. It's also here in the slide, which we'll have a moment for you to look at. But I want you to go back and read it so that you can think about what's going on in that evidence. There are problems with the story. The story says that the plan makes Democrats look bad. I have some questions about that. How does that happen? What are the internal links? How is it possible that Democrats, who only control 1 house of Congress, would get blamed for a policy that has to be approved by the President and the Senate? I don't know either. I'm not sure. Now, there are cards in there that suggest that Congress will get the blame. You should read those. Are they good? This evidence has a couple of problems that I want you to think about. First is that the ununderlined parts of the card actually prove that it's a link turn, not a link. That's a problem. The card's labeled that Democrats would get the blame. That evidence says a couple of things. This is the part that's not underlined and why you should read it. If you've got it, pull it out and look. The part that's not underlined says that Warren and Sanders want to be hardline on China. Biden's wishy-washy, and that Trump sees being hardline on China as a political campaign strategy. It absolutely does not say the Democrats will get the blame. In fact, it kind of says the opposite. Plus, Biden's not even in Congress. How could he get the blame for anything? Especially if he's a front runner that's running against Trump. The story doesn't make much sense. Now, there is hope. If you go page 13 of that file, there's a pretty good piece of evidence that you can use for that internal link for that link. It says that aid to Taiwan is popular. You should use that card. If you read this card and the other team points out there's a link turn in front of me, you're going to lose. Just saying. There are similar problems with the internal link story on the Saudi Arabia version of this disad. You need to read the cards. And I'll just be real with you. The truth is, anybody who wins politics a lot can kind of tell you a lot of times the cards are not fabulous. It's the story they put together that wins the debate. So you need to be thinking about that story and how you can pick it apart. And read the cards, especially the parts that they underline. All right. That's all I got for today. I think it's 11:45.